Yeah. Run It Back Nation, what is good? DJ Eastwood, Run It Back Philly. I got Rob here with me. We're going to do some Sixers post-game live. This episode of Run It Back Philly is brought to you by Manscaped.com. Get the Lawnmower 4.0 at Manscaped.com. Use the code NOINTRO for 20% off. Skin-safe technology, a flashlight, very quiet. Listen, can you hear it? Can you hear it? No, you can't hear it. It's the quietest razor you've ever seen. It's amazing. Get one. Run manscaped.com. Use the code NOINTRO for 20% off. Okay, the Philadelphia 76ers narrowly escape the Orlando Magic in overtime down in Orlando. What was the final score?
116 to 114.
116 to 114. So this was disappointing for a couple of reasons. I thought this was a game after the Brooklyn Nets game. This was a game the Sixers needed to come out and prove that they are an elite Eastern Conference team and take care of the 18-51 Orlando Magic with no issues whatsoever. And that just didn't happen. James Harden continues to struggle from the field. This is the second game in a row where he shot basically 0 for 1,000. He shot 3 for 17 today, I think. Where's it at? Yeah, three for
5 for 19,
3 for 11 from 3-point range. Did have 15 free throws. So he's in a little bit of a slump. I'm gonna say that he looks tired. Maybe James Harden still thinks that he's 25 and he can hang out all night and play a basketball game the next day. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe that's the thing.
Oh,
You're 32, you're 33 now. Maybe you need to start concentrating on getting enough sleep and preparing yourself. I'm just throwing it out there. He looks tired, and he doesn't have his legs in him. When you watch him shoot the ball, he's shanking front rim on a lot of things, and that's just the conclusion that I come up with off the top of my head. I'm not going to be ultra negative again. What's it really do? We pulled out the win, but this team should definitely be stomping the Orlando Magic on games like this. Especially, it's not even a back-to-back. We had time to prepare for this game. This team should be stomping the Orlando Magic. Joel Embiid, 9 for 28 from the field. Did pull in 16 rebounds. And Tobias Harris had the best game of his alongside James Harden.
He's worth the max. He's worth the max.
So everybody's going to be in here, telling us we should not have ever been slandering Tobias Harris. He's a great third option. Romp, what do you think? Am I being too negative?
No, but I mean, I don't want to go hard on James Harden because, it's obvious if he's doing this, we're not going to get anywhere. But I don't think this is him. This is his complete worst the last 2 games. So if it's this bad in the playoffs, we have no chance. But I think he'll get back on it. I think his hamstring's acting up because he can't get any separation on anyone. And he doesn't get any lift anymore on his layups. He keeps getting blocked. So I think it's just a bad 2 games. He probably wasn't motivated against Orlando Magic. I wasn't even motivated to watch this game. I could care less, to be honest. So imagine playing 40 minutes when you're going up against a team that realistically you should beat by 30 points. And for some reason, ever since Harden's got here, the Sixers just come out flat every single time. So that's a thing that's going on that's pretty annoying. But the one thing that does worry me, I think, where you have to look at is our bench is terrible, horrible. And if you go down the roster, honestly, I think me and you could beat a bunch of Sixers players in a 40-yard dash. Tobias Harris, slow. Joel Embiid, he would beat us because he's so long, but he's still slow. Tyrese Maxey, he's fast. James Harden, slow. Matisse Thybulle, he's mentally challenged. I don't know. I think I could beat him, But Niang, slow. DeAndre Jordan, slow. Shake Milton, slow. Isaiah Joe, kinda. I don't know. Paul Millsap, slow. Paul Reed, who can't sniff the floor. He's actually athletic. That's the thing that scares me. We got no athletes on this team. And, you would want to put athletes around Joel Embiid and James Harden because they're on the older side and they're also on the clumsy and clunky side of things. So that's, the one annoying thing about this team.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same things that we talked about all season, really, that were, that's why when we first made the Harden trade, or right before we made the Harden trade, I was saying, if this team comes up short, I would think next season we would have the best chance because we'll really have time to retool the roster in the offseason and things like that. So this is just, you traded for James Harden, you had to do it. But you definitely do have a lack of depth and athletes and shooters off the bench and things like that. Tobias Harris, let me get the stats up here. Tobias Harris, 44 minutes, 10 for 18 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, 9 rebounds,
Oh,
That tells me
that's my
that tells me
favorite.
that tells me Tobias was putting in effort in the game when he finishes the game with 9 rebounds. Where there's games where he's taken out of a game confidence wise with shooting, and then he finishes a game with 1 rebound in 40 minutes. That tells me that he quit. So Tobias Harris has 2 games now in a row where he's looking like he fits better than he looked like in the first 4 James Harden games. I think he's not hesitating to shoot the 3, to catch and shoot from the perimeter. In the couple of years here, he's been this like pump fake dribble drive, very, very slow wannabe ISO player. So I think he's looking in the mirror and deciding what he needs to change about his game. And I got to give him credit. I think he's changing it in the last 2 games playing alongside Tobias Harris. I mean, playing alongside James Harden and Tobias Harris playing alongside Tobias Harris. I am tired. And Tyrese Maxey
Oof.
was a ghost for the second game in a row. I guess, and I'll ask the chat too, should we be worried about James Harden in general? Because 5 for 19 in this game, 3 for 17 in the last game. That's 8 for 37, 8 for 38 in his last 2 games. It's just annoying because, when we made the trade, it's like everybody right away, oh, he's washed. You guys lost the trade. You lost the trade. Then we have 4 amazing games in a row where he averages 24, 12, and 7. Maxey's averaging 22, and it looks like we won the trade. And then we have 2, like, horrendous games, and we won this game. So there's definitely going to be people in the chat and in the comments like, you guys are talking like we lost the game. It's the 18-51 Orlando Magic, okay? We had 2 really bad games in a row. Okay, so let me ask you this. If this wasn't the Orlando Magic and this was the Brooklyn Nets tonight, how many points would we have lost by?
I mean, our defense is just not good. And the thing is, like, Doc Rivers puts out like so many lineups where it just makes other guys who aren't as athletic look like they're actually athletic. Like, going back to the Brooklyn Nets game, Goran Dragic, who's pretty much washed, he's still a solid player, don't get me wrong, but he can't move like he used to. And Doc Rivers is like, let me put out a lineup of Niang, DeAndre Jordan, James Harden, Tobias Harris, and then he had Tyrese Maxey out. But that lineup made Goran Dragic look fast. And he just went right by our defense. It's like we can't do nothing with that lineup. But at the same time, like, Doc Rivers doesn't have much to work with. We put in Furkan, he gives us nothing. The only one I got to say that deserves another chance is Paul Reed, because he does the little things and he gives effort and he grabs rebounds that you're like, oh, no one else on the team can grab that rebound. Paul Millsap gives us nothing. So, like, I can harp on Doc Rivers, but at the same time, what he's working with just isn't that great outside of Joel Embiid and James Harden and Maxey and Tobias Harris,
Right. So yeah, look at this bench right here on the screen. You're forced to play George Niang 36 minutes, which I don't mind George Niang playing 36 minutes. He catches and shoots. He's going to get up almost 10 3-point attempts a game no matter what. He put up 8 attempts in this game, shot 50%, 6 for 10 from the field, 4 rebounds. But there's no like balance there. 36 minutes for Niang and the rest of the bench is just so this is like a 7-man playoff rotation right now. Like that, you know what I mean? Like Shake Milton didn't give you anything in 12 minutes. I like that Isaiah Joe got 13 minutes and he hit a nice corner 3 when he was in there. But you're right, man. When you look at this list, and then there's 4 DNP coaches' decisions, which, like you said, Millsap, who cares? I think Paul Reed should get a couple of minutes, especially when you're getting out rebounded and you're just getting out hustled. I think you should throw Paul Reed in there for a couple of minutes. Like, why not? Even Charlie Brown Jr., he's just an energy kind of guy that you can throw on the floor that can, be scrappy and make things happen. Maybe give you a big turnover or something like that. So the fact that he didn't play, Paul Reed, Charlie Brown Jr., I don't know. I'm trying to make it sound better, but yeah, this bench, not a lot of like decent level NBA talent on the bench.
Yeah, if we're relying on George Niang 36 minutes, like that's scary to think about, because he should only be like a 20-minute guy, if that. He's great, but he's also terrible at defense at times because he's slow. Like one time, RJ Hampton just drove right past him, and it was like, oh, he can't do anything about that. He's just not as athletic.
Yeah, right. And so you see a team like even just like the Orlando Magic. I mean, it seems like every team we play in the NBA, I notice just how many young athletes they have on the team. And we get out hustled and we get out rebounded, and we come away with the win because we have better superstar talent than they do, obviously. So we pulled it out. All the James Harden slander aside, he did come up huge in the fourth quarter. He had the driving kick to Tobias Harris for the three on the wing. He hit a big three. I don't remember if it was in overtime or the fourth quarter. It looked like he just absolutely couldn't buy one, and he finally hit one. There was one that was absolutely wide open where like the defenders were staring at him and not moving, and he passed it. And that I was like, what's going on here? That's when like the confidence is gone in his ability to make any shot at all in that moment in the game or in that game. Like, I'm not saying the guy's washed. I think he'll get it back together. But yeah, he definitely hasn't looked great the past two games, but again, he made some plays down the stretch. It was 1 for 6 from three. That one that he made is one I was talking about, but he made some plays down the stretch that won the game for us. Joel Embiid made some plays down the stretch that won the game for us. Matisse Thybulle made some plays down the stretch, especially a clean block from behind on Cole Anthony that was called a foul that was reviewed, and the challenge was won by Doc Rivers. I had somebody text me and say, why don't they put Matisse Thybulle on Cole Anthony? And I feel like so Cole
why.
Anthony hit 3 threes in overtime, if I'm not mistaken. 2 of them were like the most ridiculous Steph Curry-esque 360 step back fadeaways. And I'm like, really? Cole Anthony is a 33% three-point shooter. And he's just another one of those things where a guy playing against the Sixers has this just I don't know.
Yep. It always happens. Always.
Yeah.
When he made that, I was not surprised whatsoever. I was like, oh, this is happening again.
It was ridiculous. And then you stick Matisse on him, and he makes things happen. I think he had a foul after that was a pretty bad one. Or maybe I'm thinking about the one that was called a foul that was returned. I don't remember. Like I said, I'm tired. But so Matisse came up big, and then the tip ball, we were up 1, I think, and Maxey comes away with the tip ball and misses a free throw that could have iced the game. But we came away with the win.
A win is a win. We got to stop being negative.
A win is Mo Bamba was hitting threes from the corner. I mean, Wendell Carter Jr.
Dude, he's nice. I like Wendell Carter Jr. I'm not gonna lie. I'll take him as a backup.
Do you think Joel Embiid is load managing himself during games?
Defensively, I hope. I hope so, because he just gets lit up sometimes, mostly from effort. So hopefully he brings that. And we got to stop playing drop coverage on the pick and rolls. Like, how many years have we done that? Like, since the Celtics series we lost back in the day, like with the Brett Brown era. I hate when we do drop coverage.
Yeah, it seems like we
especially against like teams like Brooklyn. I understand against Orlando, but if they start making shots, like, could we please just not let them walk into a 3-pointer?
Yeah, the defense against Brooklyn when you're playing drop coverage on Kevin Durant, who's literally I would say he's a 95% mid-range shooter when he's wide open. Like, when he's wide open, 95% of the time. It's the guy's 6'11". It's like shooting on a mini, like a Fisher-Price basketball hoop for normal people. He just puts it right in the bucket. Like, you can't play. So that is annoying. And that's, where did Romp go? Romp disappeared. I don't know what happened to Romp. Maybe he'll come back. But yeah, when you play drop coverage like that against great scorers, they're going to light you up. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't have much else to say, to be honest with you. Like, it's the Orlando Magic pulled it out. Wasn't pretty at all. Are you worried about this team? Yes or no?
I'm kind of getting worried for the reasons.
The 5 games we played, or the 4 games we played with Harden when we set records and all kinds of stuff, it was like, oh my God, this is a championship level team. Then there's people telling us, well, it's the Knicks, well, it's this, well, it's that. And now we have 2 stinkers and everybody's going to jump off the wagon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we got humbled is what happened. So now I'm like, we just got to wait and see. Like, Denver is going to tell us some things, and then we got the Cavs again. But I just think it was a lot of the problems recently is just effort. And I hope they're going to give effort in the playoffs. So that should fix a lot of the hiccups, but also some of the things you can't fix with the lack of athleticism and the horrible depth,
It's true. That is very true. Yeah, tomorrow will definitely tell us a lot more against Denver. I think I'm going to have a live pregame with Denver Nuggets content creators, Swipe a Cam. So that should be a blast. Be sure to bring your calculators along. There's going to be a lot of very deep analytical, advanced number crunching for him to argue that Jokic is the greatest player to ever walk the earth. But it's going to be fun. So, everybody be there pregame tomorrow. I don't know what time the game is. I'll announce it tomorrow when I'm going to do it. But Joel Ramos, here's exactly what I'm saying. The hot takes and the overreactions are they go both ways. When we beat a bad team by 30, we are the greatest team of all time and we're winning a championship. And then when we struggle and beat a terrible team by 2 in overtime, it's we shouldn't have traded for Harden. We gave Ben what he wanted, went to a contender, and we got a washed Harden. Should have traded Ben in the offseason. What do you think of that, Rob?
I think it's an overreaction. A big overreaction. Let me ask you this. Are you worried about this team, Eastwood?
They just look tired right now. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like those 4 games, that the first couple of Harden games, that it looked a lot. They looked a lot more energized, motivated, fluid, and they just look tired right now. So I don't know, but no, I don't think I'm worried about this team. I think they can get back to where they were in those 4 games. Because the way they were playing then, if one of those teams was the Orlando Magic, it would have been a 45-point blowout, and James Harden would have had 37 points and 19 assists, and you know what I mean? He wasn't just great then, and now he's washed 6 days later.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it. So I think they're going to come out of this little skid that they're on. I do think it's a good sign. It's obviously a good sign that Tobias Harris is kind of, in the past 2 games, is fitting in a little bit better and finding a role. So that helps, when Harden gets his shot back and gets his legs back and maybe looks a little bit more lively in future games, and Joel Embiid looks a little bit more lively in future games. Tobias Harris playing what he's playing like right now can be a big help.
Yeah, I think the DeAndre Jordan signing was a huge bust. Like I can't stand him on the court anymore. Like I don't want him at all. He's just a walking dead corpse out there. Like what's the point of him? He's just 7 foot for no reason. What is he doing? He just pisses me off.
You have to make the choice of who to play, right? You can't play Millsap. You just can't.
I'd rather Paul Reed or Bassey. I would rather Bassey or Paul Reed. Like, just give the young guys. I mean, it can't be much worse than what DeAndre Jordan's doing. I mean, 12 minutes, 0 points, 4 rebounds. It's like I can't watch him anymore. I'm sick of him.
I like that you brought up Charles Bassey because I said it a million times. I'll say it again. He was the most NBA-ready player in that draft. He's 6'11". He has offensive skill set. He has good ball tracking skills. He moves his body good defensively. He blocks shots. He can rebound. You're absolutely right, dude. When you're looking at Doc Rivers making the decision between Paul Millsap and DeAndre Jordan, why are we doing this? When you have a guy like Charles Bassey in the G League, who, by the way, right now is averaging like 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 blocks. He's averaging 5 blocks per game in the G League right now. And I know it's just the G League. It's not NBA level players, but the guy is good enough to be on the floor over Paul Millsap and DeAndre Jordan. So,
It's just crazy. I don't understand what Doc Rivers got against Paul Reed or Bassi and it's always the same thing. Like now that Shake Milton, Isaiah Joe are in the rotation, it's locked. It's locked for the next 3 weeks. Even if they're doing terrible, he's got to stick with it because that's how he is. He just sticks with the same thing. Just there's no innovation or let me try Charlie Brown Jr. because we need energy. Not saying Charlie Brown Jr. should play a whole lot, but in a game where you're going against the Orlando Magic, we need a player who's just going to run around and try his hardest, especially when Harden and Embiid are looking like they're playing 10%. And that just doesn't come across in Doc's mind ever. He's like, let me just stick with it. And that's another annoying thing.
Yeah, I agree. So Kevin Durant drops 56 today.
Bro, he's the greatest scorer I've ever seen.
They go down to the wire with the New York Knicks in Brooklyn. Kyrie was allowed to be a fan in the arena, but he wasn't allowed to be a player in the arena. That's a whole different topic of discussion, which is funny to me. But yeah, they win without Kyrie Irving. Kevin Durant drops 56. I know I was saying the whole season, the Brooklyn Nets are frauds. But like, and Seth Curry didn't play either for them today. He with the ankle soreness. When you look at the depth on this team and the bench, and then you look at the Brooklyn Nets, and you look at, Patty Mills, Goran Dragic, Bruce Brown, Seth Curry, it does start to make me nervous. I think if they lift that mandate and they get Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant and that squad, that could be definitely the championship favorite team.
Yeah,
I just said that out loud for the first time this entire season. But, after a couple of games of Kevin Durant absolutely lighting up everybody, including us, that's how I'm feeling right now. What do you think?
Yeah, you can't guard KD. And our plan is let's guard him with Tobias Harris. So you might as well just call it a series if we're going to run Tobias Harris at him, to be honest. But I don't know. The Nets played like unbelievable defense against us, like unbelievable. And I just don't believe they have that type of energy and focus. Like they're not a good defensive team, but against us, they were elite and like really, really focused. And I just don't see them doing that. Like I think we would tear them up offensively if James Harden, played to his level. So I think that's still like a thing because the Knicks were getting their way offensively. They just couldn't stop the Nets.
Yeah, and then at the end of the game, the Knicks are down 3. RJ Barrett has the ball at the 3-point line and chooses to not shoot it for some reason, and they intentionally foul to make him shoot 2 free throws in the game, which was just funny. But yeah, that's where I'm at with the Eastern Conference and the Sixers and the Nets right now. But tomorrow's going to tell us more. La Caliente, thanks for the support, my friend. We need depth and consistency from the bench. All great teams had a bench. I pretty much agree with that. The best of the best teams had fantastic benches. The Warriors championship runs, their bench could have beat a lot of NBA teams on any given night. So what do you think?
I agree. And I don't understand, like, why can't Thibault just be like a normal player? Like, why does he have to have like a killer weakness where he's unplayable? That's just a Sixers luck right there. Like why? Why can't he develop? Why can't he get stronger? What are we doing?
He's just a freak athlete. He's just a freak athlete that can't play basketball. I could say he's that like football player at the park that decides he wants to play basketball today and like shoulders people into the street And you know what I mean? He's just an athlete. He's a good defender, but he's not a guy that's going to do anything with a basketball in his hands, which is always going to be a thing. It's always going to be, is he playable or not playable? You know what I mean?
Yep, that's a fact.
Do you think so like throughout the course of this game, James Harden and Joel Embiid were not getting calls that I feel like they got a lot in those first 4 games they played together. And I'm starting to think, and listen, like when you watch it, I'm sure, are you going to do a video breakdown of this game, or are you going to skip over it and just go to
No,
Denver? Because
I can't rewatch this game. Like, I think I'll just like that's just torture. We should get
so, but
I
a lot of
can't
these
rewatch
plays,
it.
a lot of these plays where Harden drives and Embiid drives, and it's like when you see it in fast time, it's a flop, and everyone's like, "Oh, stop flopping!" But if you really watch it, it's a foul. Like they're getting hacked. I'm getting like I'm arguing with myself because I would like for them to stop playing the game for fouls. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I understand they're both really really good at getting people to foul you. But at the same time, when you're not getting the calls, knock it off and put the ball in
Yes.
the hoop.
Yes. What you just said. When it's not going their way, they got to stop doing it and just go through someone and earn the foul. Because most likely, if they just, exert a little more energy in going at the rim, they're probably going to get fouled or they're going to get the bucket. There's just way too many times where Embiid's like facing up and just rather than shooting it, he's trying to get a contact with the other dude's hand, and then he gets blocked or whatever. And sometimes he's looking for the foul on the drive and he misses the layup because of it. Like he should have way more and ones than he has, in my opinion. His I think he struggles at the rim finishing like recently because he's so focused on getting the foul rather than just focused on getting the bucket. Like he would rather get fouled than just get an easy two.
Yeah.
It's like it's just a feel thing. If you're getting the calls, and do it, but if you're not, just bully the dude. Like you're Joel Embiid and you're James Harden. Like quit playing like pussies. Like seriously.
There was a play like toward the end of the fourth quarter, I'm pretty sure it was, where Harden had a drive, like a right-handed drive, and really had a wide open layup, but leaned in to create contact instead of just going hard to the rim, and didn't get the call and missed uh, the free throw, or missed the layup at the front of the rim. And I watched him do it a couple times in this game. I watched him do it a lot of times in the last game. He seems to get frustrated when he's not making shots, and then he starts trying to get to the free throw line, but these refs are not calling it. Do you think after giving them 50 free throws in one game, the NBA had a meeting and was like, "All right, guys, just stop calling fouls"?
I mean, they got 32 free throws tonight though. It's like
Wow, they did.
insane. I mean, with how much they try to get fouls, like they're not going to blow the whistle every time because even tonight it was getting like, can we stop calling fouls, please? Like even I was getting pissed at Embiid. I was like, stop, please, for the love of God, just go up.
Yeah, you're right. I felt like they didn't get a lot of foul calls, but then I look at the stats here, and you're absolutely right. They had 17. Embiid had 17. Harden had 15. Um, but yeah, they should know that they're not going to call it fouls the whole game. So if you're constantly playing, like even if you are getting fouled, even if you are baiting the defender into contacting you, they're not going to give you 90 free throws. So
Mhm.
at some point, you have to stop doing it because they're just not going to give you the call.
Yeah, and our late game offense was just embarrassingly bad. Like it was just Harden dribble, and he was waiting for the double team, but the double team didn't come till like 10 seconds left in the shot clock. Like he should have just attacked, but he was waiting for the double. Then he passed it, and he gave like a terrible situation to whoever he passed to. And then it led to Embiid most likely chucking up a step back three, or Tobias or Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, and I think I forget what I was going to say.
Dang. I mean, it's one of those games where
Would you take Fultz back off the bench?
oh, whew, hell yeah, dude! I love Fultz. I love his game. It's just sad that he can't like his shot isn't what it used to be. But I mean, he had like 10 assists. He had 11 assists off the bench. Like he got wherever he wanted. The only thing is, I think he's on a minutes restriction because he just came back from an ACL injury or whatever that was. So, or the Magic are trying to tank because he probably should have finished the game.
I guess we'll talk about Tyrese Maxey before we get up out of here. Because he just looked so good for 4 games with James Harden. It looked like we had a big 3, and I'm not saying he's not. He's just having he's had two games in a row where it's not even like I don't know what's going on. I need you to help me explain it to me because I don't see him out there making terrible plays or something. I'm not out here like, oh my God, Maxey sucks. I feel like he's not on the floor the whole game. Like I don't see him doing anything the whole game.
I just don't think there's been as much movement as there was in the previous games. Like not even like ball movement, but just like, screens and James Harden actually attacking before the shot clock's running down. Like they're just playing so slow right now and like it takes like 15 seconds just to get Joel Embiid the ball. And then I don't think Maxey's getting as good as looks at 3-pointers, or he isn't getting easy fast break layups like he was the first couple of games. So I think it's just James Harden like playing bad, and that's affecting his game. And also James Harden like controlling the ball a lot more. And James Harden hasn't been playmaking like he was the first 3 games. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right. So, when we make the Harden trade and those first couple of games, it looks like it's like, wow, he makes us this much better. He fixes all of our issues. He makes everybody around him better. Like that's how much he impacts the game. So when he's playing bad, it impacts everything in a negative way.
Yeah, also I think the first 3 games like he was drawing because he was on his game, he was drawing so much attention. Well, tonight, you got that open 3-pointer. Like that would never happen if he was going off. Like they would never leave him open. And even still tonight, they pick him up at half court. But like if he's on his game, he draws like 3 defenders every now and again or 2 defenders but when he's off, it's a different story. So that's another thing.
Yeah, that's true. I also think in the fourth quarter and overtime, we ran the pick. Anytime we ran the pick and roll, it was completely unstoppable. And I still don't think we're running it enough. I think
agree.
there's so many times where we just run this play where Joel Embiid comes to the elbow and Harden gives him the ball for an ISO, and then the double team comes, he kicks it, we try to swing it. The one play there was like 2 guys on the same side of the court. I was like, oh my God, they're not even in the right position to run this play. It was like Tobias passed it to like Matisse 3 feet beside him in the corner. But yeah, I don't understand like when it seems like the pick and roll really works against certain teams, obviously with 2 of those 2 players as good as they are. And Doc's like, all right, Embiid ISO on the elbow, ready to go.
Yeah, I think Doc's forcing them to call plays because someone commented earlier in the stream. They were like, Doc Rivers says James Harden doesn't know the plays. I feel like James Harden's like probably purposely not running the plays because he's like, this shit doesn't work. Let me just run the pick and roll, please. Like, just let me run the offense.
He said that in a post game that Harden
Someone commented that, so I don't know that James Harden doesn't know the plays yet. So like, I don't know, like like when I played this season, like the coach would call the play and I would be like, oh, here we go. This play. Come on. Just let us rock, please. Give me freedom. And this is James Harden. So, he has an ego. So that could be a interesting thing. I think Doc's out of here,
Yeah, he looks, there's especially the games like this, it really starts to look like, what's going on here. Like the decision making when it comes to lineups and play calls, and we've been talking about Doc Rivers for a long time. But I think it will come to a point where it's like, okay, we got the roster we want, we got everything in line, and you're not good. Yep. So goodbye.
Please.
I thought the play at the end of the fourth quarter that ended up in a Tyrese Maxey 35-foot potential game winner where they just inbounded it to Joel Embiid. People were mad about that play call, but really, I thought when I watched it again, I rewinded and watched it again. I thought, it was annoying play call. Just give the ball to Embiid and everybody move. Can we just run a pick and roll and get it's unstoppable. Just run a pick and roll. But it was an Embiid ISO, but he had a size advantage and he didn't do anything.
Yep. That was Embiid's fault.
Yeah, it was 8 seconds on the clock. He has a size advantage. All he had to do was power dribble to the rim, get fouled, or just finish it. And he just stood there, and then the double team came, and he kicked it out. And Maxey shot.
He was waiting for the double, and double came with 2 seconds left. It's dude, just attack so that you go away from the double. But sometimes Harden and Embiid are let me just dribble till I get double. But that messes up the offense.
359 in the chat. Everybody hit the like button, man. Hit the like button for your boys, man. Hit the like button right now. Do it. I'm gonna bring up Google Voice if anybody wants to call the show and give their thoughts on what we're talking about here. Are we overreacting? Are the Philadelphia 76ers just having a bad couple of games? Is James Harden washed and we lost the trade? Are we screwed? Are the Brooklyn Nets going to dominate the NBA and win the championship? And we lost. We're no good. We gave up the best player ever in Seth Curry. We should have kept Curry and Andre Drummond. For those tuning in right now, I'm being sarcastic, by the way, in saying these things. Any other thoughts you have, Romp? I got to connect this real quick.
I hope Ben Simmons actually plays so we could play off him and focus on Kevin Durant more. That would help if we play them in a series.
Yeah, let's talk about that because one of the first comments I saw in this live stream was we lost the trade and I'm going to take this call first and then we'll get into that. Bridgington, New Jersey. What's going on?
How you doing?
What's up, Shane? Shane in the house.
My eyes.
What's up?
So after my eyes gonna have to see this mess.
What'd you say?
I'm so happy my eyes gonna have to see this mess.
Oh yeah, are you upset about this game, Shane?
But I was just this. I was asking my dad, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this embarrassing that you're going to overtime against this team that's not even in the top 15? Isn't that embarrassing? And he's that's totally embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
So, Shane, what do you think? Are you worried about the Sixers in the long run in this season?
I could say yes for a reason, and that's because I just don't know why, but I'm tired of seeing Dorkmans. Get on the bench. Don't.
I don't think he was in this game at all, was he? Shane,
hey,
are we just in a 2-game slump, or are we bad? Tell me.
I think we're just in a 2-game slump, but it can get worse. Obviously, it can get worse if Doc Rivers doesn't look in the mirror and realize, hey, look, I'm wrong. The players are right. Hey, look, I need to put the youth in. The old players are not giving me nothing. We need youth.
Shane's been out on Doc Rivers for a long time. Yo,
I
Shane,
agree.
You got any other thoughts for me, Shane?
Yes, people that think Brooklyn's going to win the NBA championship this year, you're wrong, because Brooklyn isn't that good of a team. It's just Kyrie can score and all that. With Ben Simmons, he's really going to hurt Kyrie and KD because on offense, what you said, DJ, is he's going to just sit under the rim, wait for rebounds, and close the paint up. And all they're going to do in the playoffs, they're just going to hack Ben Simmons and make him shoot free throws, and that's going to help them eliminate the Brooklyn Nets.
I agree. I agree, Shane. I don't think Ben Simmons is going to make that team better at all. And that's I want to talk about that for a minute too. Yo, thanks for the call, Shane. Later. Dude, Shane. For everyone in the chat, Shane's 14 years old, and he's angry on a Sunday night because the Sixers almost lost to the Orlando Magic. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Ben Simmons playing for the Brooklyn Nets. What do you think it's going to look like, Romp?
I think Ben needs the ball in his hands. So, like, that's less time of Kyrie having the ball and KD. And then if he doesn't have the ball in his hands, it's like, what is he going to do? Is he all of a sudden going to turn into a great off-ball player like people have been waiting for with the Sixers, but it never happened? So it's like, I don't know. I mean, defensively, I guess he'll help, but they still don't have a rim protector. So I don't know. I think they're better off without him, especially against the Sixers. Because if you put him on the court, Embiid's going to get even more motivated. Like that's why the Nets cooked us, because they came out with their hair on fire while we were focused on Ben Simmons. We weren't even focused on the game. We were focused on the guy not playing. So if he plays in a playoff series, like the Sixers, even George Niang hates him. So imagine all the players who played with him. I think Doc Rivers would actually get remotivated because at times we're questioning his motivation. So I think if you bring Ben back, it's just like extra motivation for the Sixers and less Kyrie and KD going ISO.
That's true. I just think Ben Simmons had an opportunity to fit with a player that doesn't play the same style as him, as Joel Embiid, and he could have been the only guy with the ball on the perimeter if he would have just shot the ball. So now he's on a team with two guys who are perimeter ball dominant guards. And you saw in 2019, was it, with Jimmy Butler? Was that the Jimmy Butler team? Or was that 2018? I don't remember. But as soon as we put Jimmy Butler on the team and the fourth quarter crunch time would come around, Jimmy Butler was handling the ball. Ben Simmons was a zero. Like he's a negative. He stands in the corner. He doesn't do anything. He's not, you know what I mean? He's not like a traditional basketball player. He's not going to come around a screen. He's not going to, what can he do? I don't get it. So now there's two guys that are going to control the ball. What does he do without the ball in his hands? Nothing. So I can't wait for the Brooklyn Nets to see that. I don't know how they think it's going to work, but it makes me laugh when they think that Ben Simmons is going to be this Draymond Green like clone. I don't get it.
Do you think he's going to play even? Like, because there's like 15 games left. Like, is he just going to come back for the playoffs? How would that sit with KD and Kyrie? Would that just be okay? Oh, I'm coming back for the playoffs. Like that would be weird.
I don't get it, and I don't even really understand why he's not playing right now, because he's not hurt. But Providence, Rhode Island, what's going on?
What's going on, man?
What's up, man?
It's the pessimist again.
Hey, thanks for calling back, man. Listen, are you the one that was saying, when we won the 4 games, and you were saying like, let's just chill because I'm scared of good defensive teams because we got stomped by Miami?
No, I wasn't even talking about the Miami game. I was just talking in general, like how we should pump the brakes because we haven't really seen like how we face like adversity and we really haven't seen like our sailing yet. Even though we have had those stretches of good games off the rip, but like against good teams, that's where we really have to measure what we have. And I just felt like offensively, when James, and I'm not trying to bash James Harden or come off like I'm negative, but like I've been a James Harden fan his whole career, no bullshit. But I just felt like he's not the same player like as before. I feel like he's a 2-level scorer. If he's not at the top of the key doing the ISO dribble drive or dribble step back 3, he's driving to the rim and doing the same Euro step. That's becoming predictable, and a lot of teams are collapsing on that when they notice that, and like I think that's interrupting his flow and his momentum. But he really is like a 2-level scorer. But you don't see him shooting mid-range jumpers. Like it's predictable. And him and Embiid relying on the fouls, that's not gonna work. You gotta put your head down. You gotta be convicted. You gotta go and score with conviction. You can't rely on refs to blow the whistle and rely on free throws to win you playoff games. And I'm speaking when we get into the playoffs because, you know what I'm saying, that Nets game the other day, that was a playoff atmosphere, and we shrunk. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to come off as a pessimist. I'm just saying.
No, hey, when you said it, I was on a high because the team looked so good for 4 games. I just didn't want to talk negative at the time. So that's what I was on. But these 2 games recently, you look like you were absolutely right on on the take. I just didn't want to hear it at the time. That's just where I was at. But I'm giving you credit right now because
man.
Yeah, I'm giving you credit right now because we got smacked in the face by the Nets, and then we almost lose to one of the worst teams in the NBA with Harden and Embiid on the floor, which so yeah, man. You got anything else for me?
And you know what's crazy, man?
What's up?
Just for the record, I was one of those because I'm a Philly everything fan. Eagles fan, cried the day we lost to the Patriots in 04, you know what I'm saying, in 05 or whatever. But just for the record, I was one of the guys who said Nick Foles was the guy over Carson Wentz, and I got bashed that. Like, I'm telling you, like, I couldn't even show my face in Philly. But I was right. Like, Nick Foles was ultimately the guy we should have went with when we signed Carson Wentz. And I know this is off topic, not to ramble, but like just for the fact, like I'm not speaking negatively when I speak about my teams. I'm just speaking like you know what I'm saying. Like
yeah,
I'm
I feel
just
you.
being
Trying to be realistic. Yep. Yeah, I got you, man. I got you, man. Yo, thanks for the call, bro. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, later. Yeah, I can't go there with the Nick Foles thing. You're not right about that because he's not good. He had a magic. It was the most magical 1.5 games of all time. Like literally, outside of that, he was not good. Yeah, I mean, they snuck into the playoffs by barely beating the Raiders, and he was awful in that game. Like, no, I'm not going there with Nick Foles. Nobody knew Nick Foles was going to turn into Joe Montana in the Super Bowl. But I do give him credit for not being overly ecstatic like I was those first couple of games with Harden on the team. But we knew this was going to happen. Like, we weren't going to win out. You don't just, we have James Harden, now we beat everybody, we don't lose a single game. But I will, the way we lost that Nets game and then to go to overtime with the Orlando Magic, it's not looking pretty right now.
This is good. We need some adversity. We need to be doubted.
We do need some adversity. We do. My main take is just that James Harden just looks like he has no legs right now. His shot is awful right now. Like, it's really, really bad. He's barely even making a single 3-pointer in these games. He's 1 for 9, 1 for 11,
Yep.
Call from New Jersey. What's going on? Oh, my bad. Hey, what's going on, man? What's up?
I just wanted to talk about more of like what our main problem, like going into the playoffs, really is, and I personally think that we do still have a chance to win a championship, but I feel like right now our main problem is that we really have like no identity at all. We teams just know what to do against us, and like for the most part, it's either they all they do is just blitz James Harden as soon as he gets the ball at the top,
yep.
And then we do the stupid thing where Joel rolls, but he doesn't roll all the way, so then we don't make the pass, and then it's just the same thing over and over. And I feel like our main problem, which I've most people have been saying all year, really the coaching. But I feel like it's just things that can be easily tweaked within a week. And I really hope over these next 5 games that we really fix them, and I think we will. That's just the positive side. I think we will, and I hope we will. But I feel like we shouldn't stress about it too much, especially going into the playoffs, because we're obviously going to make the playoffs. But I feel like once we get into the playoffs, we'll really get everything settled, and we'll understand. Eventually, get our feet under us. So I feel like we shouldn't worry that much. I feel like a lot of people are stressing and taking these games to a little bit too much, because obviously James Harden and Joel Embiid, they're both players who we know to kind of take off certain plays at certain times when they know it's not that serious. Because at the end of the day, it's the Orlando Magic, and we lose. It does look bad on us, but who really cares? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. They did look like unmotivated against this team. I thought they should have been motivated. I thought they should have been like, let's go destroy this team, because they should have been mad about what happened in Brooklyn. But they didn't seem very interested. You're right.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't personally like that, but I'm okay with it as long as we go into the playoffs with a good mindset. You know what I mean? I'm okay with honestly. You could rest James Harden and Joel Embiid for the rest of the games until the playoffs. I really wouldn't care. I literally wouldn't care. As long as we get to the playoffs and we like really lock in, that's all that really matters.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. People were saying they should have just rested Joel Embiid this game because it's a back-to-back and it's the Orlando Magic. And maybe they should have. And maybe, maybe they weren't going 100% because they know it's a back-to-back. Like that could actually be a thing. They could be like, yo, don't go out there and kill yourself. It's the Orlando Magic and it's a back-to-back. So, ESPN game tomorrow against Denver, Jokic versus Embiid. Obviously, the NBA wants both of those guys to be at 100% battling each other. So maybe we're overreacting to this game in general because it could be possible that they literally were going like half speed the whole time.
I mean, yeah, I think they were. Just Harden was he was so slow. I don't know what he was doing. But I mean, we just got to wait and see.
I think he's right. I think he's right that teams. So the first couple of games with Harden, everybody was playing behind the screen. He would run a pick and roll. He was absolutely just diming left and right. And now you see 2 games in a row where teams that aren't even good, but have a defensive philosophy to blitz him, to go around the screen, go like double team him at half court if you have to. Like they're just putting so much pressure outside the screen that he's in 2 games so far, he's folding.
Yeah, he's struggling against physicality. If you be physical with him, it seems like it's getting to him. Because back in the day, he would just attack that and finish it, and then teams couldn't do that. They would have to. So it's a little game plan, but he can easily make them pay for it. He's just got to be more like James Harden and less like James Frauden, or I don't know what to call him.
He's been a fraud for 2 games in a row now. I will say that. What do you think Tyrese Maxey has to do?
I think we just need to get him more involved in the offense. Like I feel like he wasn't involved at all. It was just Joel Embiid and James Harden show, and he kind of got lost in the shuffle. But he had 5 assists.
Doc,
right? I mean, I want to see like Nick Nurse, Ty Lue, like someone like this with Joel Embiid and James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, and even Matisse Thybulle, because we've seen Matisse Thybulle be a good, competent offensive player just because he's athletic and you can put him in, sets and stuff like that. But like sometimes Doc just leaves him out to dry and leaves him just standing on the 3-point line, and teams are like, "Oh, let me put Seth Curry on Matisse Thybulle. Let me put my worst defender so he doesn't have to work at all and he could double." So like Matisse Thybulle can't just stand in the 3-point line, or teams aren't going to play him. It's that simple.
I think there is something to the coaching and the play calling. Now that I think about it, because in that 4-game winning streak when Harden was first came here, there seemed to be a lot of creativity in the half court. Like just a play off the top of my head, a double screen with Matisse Thybulle and Tobias Harris, and Tobias pops and Matisse cuts to the rim, and Harden goes around a double screen, and the defense is trying to recover, and he hits. Like, I don't feel like I've seen any of that in the last 2 games. It just seems very, very iso ball, very like, okay, here's Harden's going to dribble for 21 seconds, and then Embiid's turn, he's going to dribble for 20. Like, there's no what happened to all the creativity that I saw the first couple of games. So there's something with that, and maybe that has to do with Harden not knowing the plays, I guess, if that's what Doc Rivers said. But I mean, just put Dan Burke in there, or Sam Cassell, or somebody else.
Someone who enjoys coaching.
I'm gonna go look at Doc Rivers' press conference. I'm sure he was just like, it was a bad game. It happens. He's going to yell at them. No, he's going to yell at the media because we won the game. That's what he's going to do. Are you guys really sitting up here asking me these questions when we won the game? Remember when he yelled at him for that? And we're like, yeah, but you went to overtime with the Orlando Magic, bro. That's all I got on this game. It's the Orlando Magic. It's the first of a back-to-back. They looked like they were going half speed the whole time. They pulled out the win. And James Harden is shooting as bad as he did the whole night. Like I said, he made a couple of big plays down the stretch, hit a 3 finally, and then had a drive and kick to Tobias Harris on the wing. So there were some plays that they made. So they did come up and win the game. Our star players won the game, but 95% of the game, they were absolutely horrendous. So,
I'm not going to lie, though. Like, these past 2 games feel very similar to the past, and that's another scary thing. Like that Nets game, I remember we got cooked against the Heat last year, like just destroyed. And me and Steven went on stream and we were so negative. And everyone's like, relax, it's just one game. But I was like, no, that was like a playoff type game. And they just got smoked. And that's kind of when I started to sniff like a little fraud in the Sixers. And like, it's kind of getting to that point because it just feels like the same old stuff, like slow starts, not being physical, getting out hustled, not rebounding. It's like, this is the same Sixers. Doc Rivers being trash, our bench being trash. Joel Embiid missing free throws. Like, why is he missing free throws now? It's like same old Sixers, but hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hope you are too. Gambo, thank you for the support, my friend. I feel like Doc is trying things on the fly. The last 2 games, Maxi's been handling the ball a lot early in the game. Seems like the offense runs better with him playing off ball. They also need to gel. I agree with that. And yeah, I definitely saw a lot more Tyrese Maxey action in the last before these past 2 games. Like, it's not just Maxey disappearing on his own. It's Maxey not being a part of the offensive game plan. It's just James Harden and Joel Embiid, and then Maxey has to try to get in where he fits in.
Mm-hmm.
But are you like, people are obviously like looking at our most recent, like our last 10 games or whatever. So we got smacked by the Miami Heat. That was before we had James Harden, but
that one
still
didn't count.
Didn't count. It was a back-to-back, flew 1,000 miles. We got smacked by the Boston Celtics by 48 points. That was before we had Harden also. But that one does count.
That was scary.
And then we play the Brooklyn Nets and lose by 30 plus. That was really the first. That was the first good team we played with, or like, a contending team we played with. James Harden on the squad. So we've had one real test and we've failed horribly. So do you think Denver is a real test? Like, I don't even know what their record is. I know they have a lot of injuries though. Like, they're not even playing with their whole roster. Jamal Murray.
I think they're a good test, Jr. Especially considering it's back-to-back. But like, also, like, if you look at Boston, there's just so many athletes on that team and they could like rotate so quickly. And then you look at Miami, they could rotate very quickly on shooters. Like, and then you look at our team, it's like we got to rely on Danny Green closing out, George Niang closing out, James Harden closing out. It's like, why is our roster so, like, it's good, but like where's the athletes? And this is why I love I get on Morey.
Yeah,
but this is what I'm talking about. Like, this offseason, we can't go star hunting. I've heard a lot of chatter with Bradley Beal. I'm not saying I don't want him. It depends on what it is. But my main concern, if I'm the GM for the Sixers, we gotta get a real bench and real complementary pieces like Jeff Green's. Please get us a Morris twin. I would die for a Morris twin on the Sixers.
Exactly.
A PJ Tucker type. We don't need a Bradley Beal. Well, would it be great? Yes, it would be wonderful. But I would rather a cohesive bench, a Sean Livingston type off the bench. Remember him back in the day for Golden State? He was a killer.
Yeah.
Like, that's the next step for Morey to get him a championship because he's great at getting stars. That's his thing. Great at getting crazy deals done. But the thing that he has struggled with is getting that elite defense next to James Harden and CP3. And now his next challenge is get a bench, get athletic people, because he has a type. He signs George Niang, slow. He re-signs Korkmaz, slow. DeAndre Jordan, slow. Dwight Howard, slow. Like, come on, man. That's my problem with Morey, but he's still. I was too critical on him before, but I'm starting to get on him again. In the back of my head, it's starting to come up.
Yeah, because again, like if I had to really guess, if I had to really make a prediction, I'd say we put up a good fight in the playoffs, but we don't have the depth to win it all. And then I think Morey has a job to do in the offseason to really probably most likely get rid of Tobias Harris's contract and really try to do what you just said with a Morris twin, any veteran guys that are athletes that or younger guys that are athletes, just guys that are athletes that can run around and rebound and dunk the ball and play basketball, make 3-level scorers. So,
basketball players, please.
Lamont says, when are you Sixers fans going to wake up, force the ownership to get the players to win another championship? All right, Lamont, I have no idea how you plan on forcing ownership to do anything. So,
what do you want us to do?
Yeah,
we're
I don't know.
We're being negative and we're still like we're being really negative right now.
All I can do is talk about it on YouTube. I can't go to Josh Harris's house and, make him do something. And if they could get the players, they would have got the players anyway. Like,
I would trade Matisse Thybulle because I don't know how high. I think his trade value is high. I would get him out of here because he's great defensively, but my goodness, I would rather just a solid defender and a great 3-point shooter. And if we could sell high on him, please get him out. Get him out.
You can sell high on him right now. You can absolutely sell high on him right now because, it's one of those things. It's like selling high on Seth Curry. People only see highlights. They only see the SportsCenter highlights. They only hear that Matisse Thybulle is an all-worldly defender. So they think he has this insane value. I know I don't think you do. I don't really think I do. I say it all the time. It's 4-on-5 in the half court with him on the floor. Is that really valuable? Is his defense being as good as it is that valuable when he can't do anything on the offensive side? So, I would do that too. I would trade him for sure. Lamont says stop going to games. Okay, now you're just wasting comments because you can't. What's the point of saying stuff like this? Nobody's going to stop going to games. What are we going to sit here? Everybody needs to stop. What do you want me to start a petition? Nobody's going to stop going to games, bro. So what's the point of saying it? What's the point of saying
it? Doc Rivers said 35 minutes. Niang will probably need 3 or 4 beers tonight to get over it for tomorrow.
George
That's
Niang,
our coach.
By the way, wait, a coach who said that?
Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers said Niang will need 3 or 4 beers.
Yeah, they probably drink together.
Well, I didn't say this on YouTube, but I said it on Twitter. After the Nets game, a friend of mine was in a bar in Philly, and George Niang was there, and he was drinking with George Niang after the game. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't. Like, people were mad at James Harden for going to a birthday party with little baby after the game. Like, what are you supposed to go to your hotel room and cry? No, I played a shitty game. We were awful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go relax. I'm going to go have some drinks and hang out. Like, why can't I do that? What is winning? You know what I mean? Is people in the club supposed to be like, James, you lost. Get out of here. You're not allowed in the club. You lost. But it was just funny. Like, my friend literally was taking shots with George Niang.
That's dope.
Yeah. I was like, did he buy them? He's like, yeah, he bought them. Like, well, okay, that's cool. I mean, he's a millionaire, so hopefully he bought the shots.
he deserves it, man. He puts in a lot of effort. So
he does. He's a dog, man. He's a dog.
He gets a pass from me.
Lamont, y'all always pay for the failure and then cry when you don't win. I got to stop looking at your comments, man, because I don't know what you want me to say. What do you want me to say? Nobody's going to stop going to games. I'm not allowed to sit here on YouTube and give my opinion because people are paying to go to the game. It doesn't make sense. Luke Kennard, I agree.
Please.
What other comment? We traded Bridges. Yikes.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
Matthew, Harden ain't the answer, unfortunately. I think he is. Listen, like I said, I don't think we went from him being great for 4 games and bad for 2 games. I don't think he's bad now. Like, I don't think.
What else was the answer though? Like, Ben Simmons staying. Like,
yeah, good
kind of had to do it.
Yeah. Exactly. It wasn't like we were searching for an answer and we had a whole bunch of different options and we chose this one. Although I think this is the best option that we had at the time. I'm saying like we were in a predicament with a player that wasn't playing for the team that we had to get rid of, and we got one of the greatest point guards of all time in return. And I think James Harden was absolutely lights out for 4 games. The past 2 games, it looks like the teams have had better defensive strategies against him. And his legs are not there for whatever reason. Like I said, if he's really hanging out until 4 a.m, maybe he needs to realize you're 32 now, you're 33 almost. You can't hang out till 4 a.m. and then play a basketball game the next day. You got to sleep for 8 hours. Like me, I only slept for 4 hours last night. I don't even have any energy in this YouTube show. Like, and I was like drinking coffee while I was watching the game because I want to do this. But I was telling myself like, damn, I should have, like, I didn't prepare myself to have the energy to give a good stream after the game. You got to prepare yourself. I'm just saying, like, James Harden looks tired, and maybe he still thinks he can do whatever he wants and still play a game the next day. It looks like he needs to go to sleep. That's what I think.
Yeah. I mean, that game didn't help you though. That was one of the worst games I've ever watched. And honestly, I didn't watch like half the game. Like I was flipping through channels, just watching March Madness stuff, and then our broadcast brings it down also. But yeah, we don't need to get into that.
Y'all are flipping quicker than Nets fans. I'm actually not flipping. I'm just giving my opinion on the game that I just watched. It was terrible. Like you can't. Embearding. You can't.
Embearding is awesome.
Pretty sweet name, dude. Honestly, like I'm a big
That's
fan
awesome
of the name. But you can't sit here and say anything positive about the game that you just watched. So I mean, but I am saying that the 4 games that Harden looked great. It's not like we can't get that version of him back. Like. He was dropping 16 assists. He was doing everything. He looked like a magician on the court last week, a week ago. He didn't just get washed in 5 days. So it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I really think it's going to be okay. You got anything else, Romp?
What if they arrest Embiid tomorrow and Harden?
That would be extremely annoying.
Yeah, I know. I swear if they do that, like,
no, they won't. They won't. It's an ESPN game. It's the NBA. They won't. It's a business. Like technically the NBA is not like, yo, you have to play, but they might literally be behind closed doors, be like, you have to play your guys on the ESPN game. And we want Jokic versus Embiid prime time. Because remember there was those years where it felt like there was so many like major primetime games and it'd be like, oh, Warriors are resting everybody. And it'd be like the Spurs are resting Kawhi Leonard and everybody. And the NBA started to be like, yo, we got to do something about this. So that's why they do what they do now, where technically you have to have a listed injury, which even still you can just say the dude has gastroenteritis or whatever.
I would sit Harden, not Embiid.
You would sit Harden tomorrow.
Dude, he looks gas. He can't get any separation on anyone. Like, it's scary.
He does look gassed right now, but
and he was like, remember there was a clip of him like rubbing his hamstring or something during the Nets game, and everyone was like, oh, he's faking an injury because he was getting cooked. Like, there's definitely something going on because he just doesn't look what he was doing. Remember he was running up the stairs too? I feel like he like overworked himself.
Yeah, maybe he was
running up those stairs.
So he has an amazing game, drops like 27, 16 assists, 5 steals, and then he does some stair runs after the game, and then immediately is trash for the next 2 games.
Bro, you probably tripped over the stairs and got hurt. And they're trying to hide the injury because, like, what are they going to say? He got hurt during the game? We didn't see him get hurt. And
Maybe he pulled his hamstring running the stairs. Maybe he pulled his hamstring running up the stairs.
That would be some Sixers luck.
Yeah, like, first of all, you're a $200 million player. This is a $1 billion corporation. We have lots of expensive technology. You do not have to be running up the stairs in the arena. Like, what?
Those are tough to run up too. If you make one bad move, like you're tripping, going into like a sharp edge, like what is he doing? At the time, it was cool. Like, oh, we got the good version of James Harden. Now it's like, what the? That was cringy.
Hey, listen, guys, you know what you can do to make yourself feel better after watching a game like this? You can lose your lawnmower 4.0 with skin-safe technology from manscaped.com. You can use the code NOINTRO to get 20% off and free shipping, and you can clean yourself up and feel like $1 million after watching a game like this. I might go do that. The code NOINTRO for 20% off and free shipping. Manscaped.com. I got nothing left for this game. I actually can't believe we talked about this game for an hour and a half.
It was tough. It was.
Thanks everyone for being here, man. 345 still in the chat. Hit the like button on your way out. I would appreciate that very much. So thanks for being here. Thank you, Ron, for joining me. Next time I'm going to try to get you and Greg. Greg Melly was going to come along, but then he had something to do. I don't know, something more important than the Sixers versus the Magic, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's the Sixers versus the Magic. Later, I'm out. Peace.
Peace.